When we first learned of the informant that the FBI had implanted in the Trump investigation, this collusion case, remember the name Stephen Halper. Stephen Halper was the guy that somehow found his way into the life of George Papadopoulos and had implanted with Papadopoulos, along with his buddy Joseph Mifsud, a professor from Malta, that the Russians had a whole bunch of Hillary Clinton emails. Well, this guy, Stephen Halper, has been a lecturer and professor at Cambridge, at Oxford. He's got some ties to Harvard, but he's big in MI6 and the CIA. MI6 is the UK version of the CIA. And then Mifsud, the Maltese professor. That's actually how he's identified in all these news stories. And I made the point, you're going all the way back to Kim Philby. Kim Philby was a Soviet spy working in British intelligence. He was eventually uncovered and fled and lived the rest of his life in Moscow in a very palatial estate. I made the observation that all of this, all of these spies and all of these implants and all of these people working with the FBI come from academe. They come from the equivalent of the Ivy League in the UK, which would be Oxford and Cambridge, and they come from Harvard and Yale here. And sure enough, Stephen Halper was a lecturer at Harvard and has had connections there. Well, there was a story today in a small paper called the Taunton Daily Gazette in Massachusetts by Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. And he is running for office. He is an accredited academic himself. He's got 4 degrees from MIT, including a PhD, and he's running for the United States Senate as an independent. And his piece is, "It's time to take back Harvard," exposing the truth about Harvard and so forth. And it's a really, really good piece that details how Harvard and Yale and all of these Ivy League institutions prepare people for positions of power and authority in what we're calling the establishment, the deep state, ruling class, or whatever. Let me give you a pull quote from his piece. "However, today, the same people who control education at Harvard also dominate Wall Street. They write the nation's laws. They operate global behemoths like Monsanto. They are a singular, cohesive community who funnel vast sums of money to themselves. They write self-serving policies. They control judicial appointments. They own the media. They grant taxpayer money to nonprofits while creating monopolies from tax cuts, bailouts, and venture funding. And they do all of this, and they work with intelligence agencies that illegally surveil innocent Americans. To add insult to injury, Harvard faculty generate propaganda, academic, peer-reviewed papers that claim their method of running the world is the best while trampling our political and free speech rights." Another pull quote is, "Almost every problem in the world, be it corruption, an economic crash, mass poverty, or civil strife, can be traced back to experts at Harvard." And the reason the piece appealed to me is because I think it's true. I think Harvard and Yale. Take a look. I just, for the sake of it, I will admit something. I'm watching Rosenstein today. We played the sound bites of Rosenstein. And I wanted to find out if Rosenstein's worked anywhere in the private sector. I wanted to find out, if I could, what Rosenstein's net worth is. I'll tell you why. It's not because I used that to judge by any stretch of the imagination. But this guy has degrees from Wharton. He's got degrees from Harvard. He's right there from Harvard. He's got degrees from all over the place. And as best I could tell, he has only worked in government, which means he's never made more than a couple $100,000 a year, which to people like this, folks, is peanuts. $200,000 a year in this crowd doesn't get you noticed, except in this crowd it does. And he's got an education and degrees, and he's not alone. I just picked him because he's in the news here. This is not, I'm not zeroing in on Rosenstein for any particular reason here, just that he was on my mind. You know, wealth is a a great equalizer, and wealth allows people to spend a lot of time on things that are not related to earning a living. Most people have to spend all of their serious time earning a living, and your avocational time, your vacation time, hobby time is very, very limited. Well, wealth affords you the opportunity to dibble and dabble in a whole bunch of stuff and not have to, quote unquote, go to work every day. And it's one of the things that is also very common with people that come from this lineage. They know each other, they network with each other, and they end up, even though they've never earned a lot of money, when you find their net worth statement, you find it's overflowing, even though they've never had jobs outside government. Members of the House and Senate show up in Washington with nothing, and they retire after a few years, and they're millionaires. Now, how does this happen? This is what this guy writing the story is talking about. But it is a club, you know, it is, and there is an official training for how to be in the United States government, and it does come from the Ivy League, but it doesn't stop at the government. How to be and how to work and how to at Wall Street. Now, of course, this is what education is supposed to do. It's supposed to enable you to excel at things. But this is more than that. This is while you're learning how to excel, you're also being groomed and taught how to fit in and how to be part of a very, very, in terms of the population, small group of people in whom the vast majority of power in the country is vested. And is this group of people that's out of their minds over Donald Trump. This group, what has happened with this is not possible. In their world, this is not possible. Even though Trump went to Wharton, you know, Trump's got an Ivy League pedigree, but he's not one of them. And this is not supposed to happen. He's not supposed to be able, nobody is, to come in and get elected, and then after only, less than 2 years, show how ineffective these people are at supposedly leading the country, representing America, doing the best for America. Trump is exposing a lot of things that nobody was supposed to ever see. And this is why they have to get rid of him. It's why they have to do whatever they can to discredit him and to invalidate him with everything that he does. And it's why they go after him on the basis that he's rude and crude and unsophisticated, because those are key ingredients and requirements for admission into this club. And it extends to the same kind of people in the UK. These are the people running the European Union. These are the people at the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They're all in this. And I was glad to see this piece because it confirmed my instincts about it. No. I'm not coming at this from a standpoint of jealousy or any of that. No. I'm just documenting it. This is I think a demonstrated thing. This guy that wrote the piece, he actually makes mention of the fact that Harvard could be sued for racketeering, given what they produce and how people are trained and educated. And I don't doubt any of that for Bennett. He says they do all of this, and they work with intelligence agencies that illegally surveil innocent Americans. To add insult to injury, Harvard faculty generate propaganda, academic peer-reviewed papers. In short, Harvard is the alpha and omega of the military-industrial academic complex, the deep state. And almost every problem in the world, be it corruption, an economic crash, mass poverty, civil strife, can be traced back to experts at Harvard. And he writes here, I believe Harvard needs to be investigated for racketeering. Now, that's never going to happen. And this may not be news to you. I was just excited to see it because it confirmed yet again my unassailable instincts about things. But this is the root even of the so-called conservative never-Trumpers.